From Wall Street to Main Street, this is Lalate.
It's a big early morning of Early Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In today's recording, a lot of breaking news as a deal will be reached. A deal is happening in that recon that could be done by as early as Friday. I have the latest details in this recording. Then, the price is right, but the details are more in the details. Well, LA told you that Americans did not know about the recon. A new report says that 90% of Americans don't even know it exists. What are the Democrats doing? They're bringing that recon down to 1.7 to 2 trillion. It's all good news for you because this will still get you big sums of money. Then, college and climate, out or in? Very confusing. Are the provisions out or in? Are the latest details? And then, student loan debt forgiveness, forgiven or not? Well, forget it. I got more money that could be forgiven by the end of the week. Oh boy, what's going on? And then COLA, big raise across the board. And you're going to see 2 more raises thereafter. Then we look back at the first year and a half of this channel as it approaches 140 million viewers. Oh, actually, it's already reached that. As it approaches Sunday, we look forward to the big details across the board and what we've learned over the last year and a half about ourselves as well. It's been a busy news cycle, and late yesterday, a lot of details were reached in this recon. We could be done with the recon by Friday. And then the vote thereafter, it's all heating up very quickly. We got a big morning broadcast because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and this is Early Mornings LA. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day and I hope the weather is good where you are. It is beautiful along the coast where a deal could be happening in your recon by the end of the week. Timelines now suggest that they are near finish on this recon. Can they get it done? I have the latest details. Meantime, Democrats are dealing with a big problem. 90% of Americans don't even know the recon exists, let alone know what's in there. How they solving the problems? I have the latest. The price is right. The price for the recon may drop to 1.7 or to 2. I'll explain where it's going to land and what provisions are in and what provisions are out. What happened to climate and college? They were reportedly out by Wednesday midday, but by Wednesday afternoon back in. What about student loan debt? Is this a game changer? The president has offered a big offer. Why are the Democrats not taking it? I'll explain the latest details. COLA is going up, and this is big sums of money for you, but you could see 2 more raises after that. And then the LA anniversary as this channel approaches 140 million views, and the look back at the first year and a half of this channel. Well, look at what's going on next. It's a big day, and it all starts right now, and this is LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on this channel. And then we got a big mornings countdown at 7 o'clock. 9 o'clock will be the latest details of what negotiations did last night, because the negotiations went throughout the night. All the latest details are live on air as that broadcast heats up at 9. But first, let's go into this big recon. A recon will be passed, it now seems, across the board. Democrats are all signaling that recon will be passed. And that recon will not be 3.5 trillion, it'll be smaller, but it'll pay viewers a lot of money. This recon will be for you. Single individuals, married couple, people with children, people without children, people who are seniors, people who are young people. Money across the board, and the average viewer of this channel will get about $15,000 from this recon. As soon as it becomes long, I'll show you how to get the sums of money. But let's go through each of the clusters of checks starting right now and see which clusters of checks had checks fall apart and removed yesterday, and then which checks were removed and put back in. Oh boy. So cluster number 1, hazard pay and $4,000 of elder care. They got hazard pay in there, broaden the earned income tax credit and increase the amount of money. These are essential workers, and this is deliciousness. $4,000 of elder care got in there, and then $4,000 of care for young children. They got college grants directly to the university, to the student that Pell's grant made tax-free. And then they got the CTC, the child tax credit, in there as well. This one was a big shocker. What happened with this one? Initially supposed to be 18 years of $51,000. Then by middle of yesterday, it looked like it was at 5 years at $15,000. By the end of yesterday, it looked like it was at 1 year, which is about $3,500. $300 a month over every month, up to a year, which is where it looked like it stand as of last night. Could get changed again. Then they got big money in there to fix the home. Totally free if you live in a low-income community. And then they got money for cars, trucks, and bikes, all electric. $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric car, personal use, 15% for the new electric bike, and a little bit more for business use and also for a truck. That is the first of 3 clusters of checks so far pass and still staying in there. Let's go to the first add-on, and we do have an update about this one as well. Because guess what? Its author likes to talk. It's Maxine Waters. She loves to talk, and she said she's still pushing to get it in there as of late last night. $25,000 of hard cold cash to go to you as a first-time home buyer, likely to come to you during the escrow, right before you close on escrow, going directly to you or to the seller in your name. Yes, she's pushing to get it in there, and there was a lot of pushes to get housing relief in this recon down to the hour last night. Still a fluid situation on housing. Here comes cluster number 2. And this one actually has one provision in jeopardy and another one confusing. Well, they got paid family and medical leave in there, or did they? Paid family leave and medical leave is $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year, $800 a week if you make $35,000 a year, or $400 a week if you make $15,000 a year. Child care programs, household tax credits, eligibility for dental, vision, and hearing, Medicare, and then pre-kindergarten, totally free, and tuition-free community college, and then weatherizing your home. Well, I got a lot of updates from that list. Cluster number 2 just looks like a bloodbath. Well, the good news is that weatherizing your home is still in there. I think they need to weatherize the legislation also. Definitely need to weatherize your home, especially with the moderate Democrats on the roof. And guess what? I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House and keep the moderate Democrats out of the Senate. Where are the big shockers in this cluster number 2 overnight? Well, first of all, tuition-free community college. It was out midday yesterday, completely out. Who confirmed it was out? Jalopal, not like someone off the record. On the record, Jalopal says out. Then by the evening, Nancy Pelosi said, "Who said it's out? I didn't take it out." I love that. So it was out and back in. It's sort of like that, isn't it that Scarface scene? Every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. There we go. I probably got the movie wrong. I know I got the movie wrong. I don't know. Also, real big battleground is the dental and vision. It's coming up in the 3rd cluster. This one's a big battleground. And then the paid family and medical leave. This one looked like it was in danger as well. Nancy Pelosi said, "I've changed more diapers than anyone else in this room." She actually said that. So she said to stay in it as well. Well, there you go. Second cluster add-on. This next cluster add-on is from Bob Casey. No updates about this one. Bob Casey is looking to add $250 billion on top of these clusters. And this would be for home health care, providing big money to the cities and counties and states so they can offer free home health care to you. Huge, because then your daughter and son won't have to care for you and they would go back in the workplace. That's one of his mindsets for that add-on. Let's go to cluster number 4, and one check in here. First reported on this channel out, definitely out. So that one is clear. We're going to go to this 3rd cluster. And here we go. Free school meals for all, checks. Cheaper prescription medication, checks. Checks for farmers, checks for elections. Checks for clean energy. Checks for seniors like dental, vision, hearing, lowering eligibility age for Medicare, and also independent contractors checks. So here we go. Which check is definitely out from that 3rd cluster? The clean energy one. Definitely out. I delivered these details to you last week, and the president took it out because Joe Manchin said I want it out. And I got to tell you, in looking back over the last few days, I think that check being removed is what got this recon to the finish line. Joe Manchin said it was a deal. It was a non-starter, meaning it will kill the whole recon. You don't take that out. He took it out, and after that, everything just sort of started to flow very naturally. So I think that taking that provision out is why this recon is accelerated. Dental, vision, and hearing, you're going to see in a second, is a big battleground. There's some people who are trying to take it out. Still in there at the moment. If you're tuning in for the first time, you've never found this channel before, let me explain what's going on. This is all off the record, insider negotiations, source close to the senators, giving us updates about what's going on. You're not going to hear this on broadcast media. You're going to see this here and one print media source, and that's about it. You're not going to see this anywhere else. The president's not bringing a press briefing on it. He's not giving you a brochure. He's not giving you a peachy. He is not giving you a rundown. And in fact, Nancy Pelosi is being emphatic. She does not want to give a rundown. So that is why this information here is you're not going to see it anywhere else. It's not going to be on broadcast media. It's not going to be on local media either. They don't want to cover it because it's a little bit too complicated. And the sophistication of the viewership of this channel, you know what these provisions are. I've been covering them a while, so you know when I say something's in, then it's out. And there you go. Let's go to the third add-on, and you know what that one is. Of course, it is that MSC. That MSC provision is getting a series of twists today, and the twists are that we have one viewer who spoke to Omar's office on the House side, and Omar's office has said that she would add it in after there's a House bill, but before there's a House vote. And we've heard this from Pelosi as well. What does that mean? Let's go over where this recon is. The recon is currently still in a subcommittee. It's not a House bill yet. We don't have a bill. The viewer, in speaking to Omar's office, was told that Omar and Pelosi are looking to add a stimulus check after we have a House bill, but before we have the House vote. They can make amendments before they make a vote because they say, I'm not voting in favor unless you make these following changes. There's another backup, and that's certainly the one that most viewers are focused on, the Senate side. Chuck Schumer told a viewer last week, Debbie Applegate told a viewer the week before, Donnie's wife, and told a viewer going into last weekend, he's inserting a monthly stimulus check provision. Where? The Senate side. Where is the Senate vote? Last. During the two-day event called the Votorama. That Votorama is the final 2 days of the entire process. And at that point, they get the House bill and they look at it and they say, this is not in there. I'm adding it in there. I'm making changes. Who determines what's called for a vote during the Votorama? Chuck Schumer. Who calls things for a vote? Chuck Schumer. Who determines when and where things are called for a vote? Chuck Schumer. Who wants to insert that monthly stimulus check provision? Chuck Schumer's office says. And who determines what you wear to the Votorama? Mitch McConnell. That's his big claim to fame. He's the fashion coordinator. Yeah. It's better than filibuster. So there you go. Then, of course, the big statement that came in from the number one senator's office. That's not the graphic. It's somewhere here. The number one senator's office in the land, speaking to viewers of this channel and to me. This is the chief of staff. The chief of staff to the number one senator on the recon tells viewers of the channels of the following. They have now received in total between congressional and senatorial offices more contacts of advocacy from the LA Purple Power than the number of signatures in the American petition. Everyone's amazed by the outpouring of touching stories from LA viewers. Now they have a better understanding of how the Americans are trying to get it through the pandemic. They have heartbreaking stories from LA viewers, and they have the voice of the people in you, LA, across the nation. You have become too loud to be ignored. Thank you so much. That's really nice. Please, here's the last sentence, which is for you and for me. Please continue your encouragement for the continued advocacy, as you are the professional voice of the people, LA, that you have become until this becomes law. Very, very kind. And there's a key message for us. Advocate. We got potentially 1 day left for this recon to be functionally agreed upon. That's not the finish line, but that's a very big deadline. So if you have the time, make those phone calls of advocacy. I need a stimulus check because my family, my church, my community, my leg, my medicine, my doctor, my financial situation, my divorce, whatever it is. House and Senate, AOC, Omar, Jalapal, Pelosi, and then over the Senate side, Bernie, Liz, Chuck, Ron Wyden, Bob Casey, Chris Coons. Advocate for as many places as you can. Remember, the finish line is not Friday. The finish line is not the week after that, where the House would likely call for a vote. The finish line is the finish line at the very end with the senators. So you need to push across the board because things can get changed. We got a lot coming up in this early morning's broadcast. It's a totally new show today, and you see already how it's unfolding, very different. We have a recon that a deal will be happening. That is what Jalapal, Pelosi, Steny Hoyer all said. I have the latest details on early. Then we go over why the viewership of this channel is one of the smallest fractions of the United States that knows what this recon is about. A new CBS poll says 90% of Americans don't even know the recon exists, and the remainder don't even know what's in there. The Price is Right. Where will the recon fall, and what does it mean anything to you? And does it impact you if it's 5-year programs or 3-year programs? Then, climate and college. Out or in? A lot of provisions being told they're out. And did they go back in by the end of yesterday? We'll be turning over to student loan debt, and more debt could be forgiven by the weekend. And then COLA is not your only lift up if you're on benefits. There could be another one on top of that. And then as we go into a big early morning, we'll be turning back and looking at the first year and a half of this channel. What we've learned as a family and what we can learn going forward. There's a lot coming up, and we're just getting started as Early Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate. And the excitement continues right now on Early Mornings Lalate as we look and see which programs were removed yesterday and which ones were put back in. I have the latest details. Student loan debts are heating up, but more debt could be forgiven by the weekend. COLA raises are being raised up, but you may be getting 2 more raises on top of that. When are they? And how do they work? I have the latest on that as well. LA's anniversary. You look back on the first year and a half of this channel, 140 million views, but what do we learn about ourselves? The Price is Right. The recon will go to 1.7 to 2 trillion, but which number and which number makes sense? LA told you. I've been telling you what's in this recon, but no one else knows what's in there. Big problem. The Democrats address it, and I address it in this recording. But first, we're going to start with a deal that's happening, and that deal is upon us, and it could be in the next 24 hours. This is LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. You don't want to miss a single video across this channel in the next 48 hours. The items in this recon are coming in, they're coming out, they're getting reduced, they're being added. This is a time in which you cannot miss a single video because it may look totally different than just 2 hours before. That's what happened yesterday. So subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Join me next on Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on this channel. And then we go into Morning's Countdown at 7, a brand new LA live on air at 9 a.m. So subscribe, like this video, and consider becoming a member. Let's go to what the president did and how he did it so well. The president, out of nowhere, really got negotiations going. A deal is happening, and the deal will likely be formulated in the recon by the end of this week. That's what insiders are now telling a print media and myself. This recon will likely get done informing the provisions, not the writings, by this Friday, and then the voting would be the following week on the House side for that recon. What's important to understand is that the situation has changed by the hour and on the hour, and it has been very, very fluid across the board. What I'm going to go over is some of the cuts, some of the changes that have happened just since yesterday's afternoons. First, Jalapal tells news that the deal will be happening. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. It's a messy process, and democracy is not always easy, and negotiation is not always easy. But Jalopal met with Joe Manchin and said it was great spending time with him. Her first time meeting with the Democratic senator during the negotiations. It was about right there that everything started to really pick up. There are differences. Everyone knows there are differences. We have to bridge them, come together, Jalopal says. Because at the end of the day, we have to deliver both these bills, the roads and bridges, and also the Build Back Better Act, the recon, to the president's desk. Senator Chris Coons says that it's just sort of different. People are being more clear-eyed about it. We got to get this done. The vibe in our caucus is different, says Chris Coons, who's the first Democratic member who had told viewers he's going to give you a monthly stimulus check, told WR. We're getting there. The gaps are getting closer. There's a lot of reasons why the next 10 days are critical, because December is really a really messy month. And then John Tester said that 10 days ago, it looked like a mess. Now things are really happening. We're getting to the point where we can move along quite well. What's really changed? And if I can give you some insight, I'll give it to you right now. What's really changed was there was a lot of annoyances up to about this last Monday with the moderate Democrats not saying what they want. And the president had been doing this for weeks. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And the moderate Democrats were not saying it. Out of nowhere, there was that meeting with Bernie and Chuck and Joe Manchin. I called it Sanchin, remember? And shortly after that, Joe Manchin started to make very, very clear what he didn't want. The climate provision, the clean energy. And I think the president's removal of the clean energy provision really got things moving. Joe Manchin said it was a deal breaker. He said, I have to have it out, otherwise I'm not doing this recon. It came out and suddenly the process started going. I think the president basically said, if I take it out, you start telling me what you don't like and I'll start making changes. And people just started talking. And you're going to see in a second how one program may have gone from $51,000 to $3,000 overnight. That shows massive movements on everyone's side across the board. One of the big problems the president and the Democrats have had is that no one knows this recon exists. I've had the problem, obviously, as you've seen on this channel, because there would always be someone who jumps to the live chat and say, I haven't heard anything about this. You're the only one talking about this recon. I don't see it on my local news or broadcast radio or where I am at the local paper. Guess what? Democrats have seen that problem. A new CBS poll out this week says that 90% of Americans don't even know the recon exists. They don't even know it exists. And the 10% that know it exists, they can't even tell you what's in there. When asked about this, Majority Whip Dick Durbin says, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt about one bit. I think it's our fault as Democrats. We have oversold the recon and underperformed for too long. Now we got a chance to turn it to the right way, hopefully. He's basically saying people just don't know what this recon is because they didn't make it clear. I've been very critical of the subject matter. The president made all those videos about roads and bridges, made nothing about the recon, so people just didn't hear about it, except if you're a viewer of this channel. The price is right. Where is the price coming to that recon? It won't be $3.5 trillion. It won't be $1.5 trillion, but where will it be? 2 days ago, I said, the moderate Democrats say that anything over 1.9, their nose starts to bleed. It just feels like just a sinus attack. Anything under 1.9, they're fine, or at 1.9, they're fine. The moderate Democrats really like 1.5, and the president likes 2 trillion. So what's going on? The president told the Democrats yesterday, 2 trillion. The moderate Democrats said 1.7, but they also said they'll go to 1.9. I think it's going to 1.9, but the bottom line is it means nothing for you. Why? Over the last months since July, I've delivered a lot of exclusives on this channel about duration of the programs. And I have a new detail about this tonight on this morning on Early Mornings Lalate. When we looked at the recon originally at 7 trillion, the proposed recon, I had speculated the programs were 20 years. We now have confirmation they were 20 years. Then when the recon went to 3.5 trillion, I speculated the programs were at 7 trillion, they're 20 years. At 3.5 trillion, they were 10 years, I speculated. We now have confirmation they were at 10 years. I said, just cut the recon to 5 years. Then you get to 1.7. Pretty easy, right? So 1.7, about 5 years. 1.9, about 6 years. 2 trillion, about 6.5 years. So it doesn't really make a difference because we just want programs that at least run 3 years. Very easy. What can I tell you that's new about this on Early's morning today? Is that we now see in some of the cuts and changes overnight that there won't be a blanket number of years for all the programs. You won't look at all the programs and say they're all 3 years. Some programs will be 1, some programs will be 6. They're just different number of durations. let's go over how they're doing this across the board. Well, Debbie Dingell, who is a Democrat from Michigan, says, I think they're going to get it done this time. The president has been very decisive. He's showing great leadership. And then Patty Murray, Democrat of Washington, says, I think there's a real consensus this time. We all see the timeline. There's a lot of struggle what's going on to the bill, and that's literally where we're seeing in vision. This December is a real scare, is really scaring people's shoes. Why? Because December is a very busy month. They don't think they can get good stuff done in December. So that's why when Chris Coons said December is scary, that's why they're trying to get it done right now. And Steny Hoyer, in his first comment, said, we're working hard to have both of these bills ready to be passed by the House of Representatives before Halloween. Now we've made significant progress, so that's also success towards the end. There you go. What has been tossed and what hasn't been tossed? On Afternoons Lalate, I had told you that the programs of climate and college were gone. The tuition-free community college gone, and that the climate provision of clean energy gone, and most of the climate provisions gone. How did I know that? Jalapal told us. Jalapal said, there will be something for higher education, but it probably won't be community college, free community college, meaning it's gone. So what happened? It's not gone. It's back. It's sort of like Jimmy Kruger. So what happened? Let me explain what happened. Apparently Pelosi was watching this channel or the print media, and she said, who said it was gone? It's still in there. So let's tell you what the latest update was as of this early morning. Childcare, which originally was to be 18 years at $51,000, then became 5 years at 10 years at $15,000, now may be down to 1 year. The CTC, the child tax credit, may likely only be 1 year because that's where it ended last night, which would be $3,000 something compared to $51,000. Big difference. Next, Obamacare subsidies and Medicare expansions are in there, but they are really a big battleground. And one of those battlegrounds is the free dental, vision, and hearing care. Boy, they are really battling over that. They're having a big issue about it. They're still in there at the moment. That's from cluster number 3, but they're still in there at the moment. Biden's also considering just doing them for 3 years to make it simpler. Next, Biden's also proposing to do it by vouchers, but Bernie Sanders really wants his dental, vision, and hearing in there for seniors. Paid family leave and medical leave, which is from cluster number 2. Remember that one? That was getting very hammered yesterday. It was a big war zone. But Nancy Pelosi said, I've changed more diapers than anyone in this room, meaning that that is not coming out. When asked about the tuition-free community college coming out or the paid family leave coming out, she said, that's news to me. That's not a decision. We haven't made a decision to take it out, let alone to reduce the amount of money. Wow. What is definitely out is clean energy, also called Clean Electricity Performance Program. That was a non-starter. That was going to be a deal breaker. Joe Manchin said take it out. I told you it was out last week. President kept it out. It's staying out. A push to lift the cap on state and local tax deductions, that is likely out. Very interesting. And community college, just really unclear. First we heard it's out, then it's in. Not very clear across the board. One of the questions that people are having problems about is Sinema. She's not telling people what she's having a problem with on the back end. The pay-fors, the corporate taxes, and the wealth tax. And one senator really went after her yesterday. House member went after her. Veronica Escobar, Democrat from Texas, really went after Sinema. I don't know what the red lines are for one U.S. senator, Sinema, who has an amazing amount of power. It's a guessing game with Senator Sinema, and we're all supposed to be on the same team. We're all supposed to be transparent and communicate and collaborate. Without it, this is significantly more challenge. Basically, the same accusation that was against both of them up to last week, which was they don't tell you what they don't like. Joe Manchin finally coming around. He's doing a great job. Maybe it's Jalapal that got him to it. Finally telling people what he doesn't like. But Sinema for this back end, not telling people. Timeline. Steny Hoyer says we're right on time, and so does Nancy Pelosi. Here's Steny Hoyer, majority leader of the House. I think the members are in a position where they want to get something done, and I think you've got to get everybody in the tent because we have very close margins, meaning margin of error. So I think they can all accommodate that. Nancy Pelosi says it's very possible we'll reach an agreement by the end of this week. We continue to be on our time schedule, says Nancy. We have a goal. We have our milestones. We've met every milestone along the way in our timetable. So we're going to be able to reach the goal. There was a lot of meetings last night with certain subcommittees that are in charge of certain numbers. So it looks like they're pushing it very close. Big cuts could still be coming across the board. What would those big cuts be? They are being proposed by Ben Cardin, Democrat, Maryland. I think the major parts will remain in there, but big cuts could be coming. Richard Neal, Chuck Schumer, Bernie, the Pelosi, the White House all met late last night. Schumer says everyone has to compromise if we're going to get to find out the legislative sweet spot. We're getting very close to the agreement. We want to finalize a deal by the end of this week, but we all must keep moving. Bottom line, have to keep on moving. How do they really get there? They get there three ways. And I got to tell you, I've been covering this a long time. I've been doing this since last year. And you remember what happened in December 2020. We went into a Friday and suddenly Mitt Romney and Pat Toomey doing the CR for stimulus. Things were just zooming very quickly. And Friday night, it was just laser speed. Saturday was laser speed. And Sunday was done. It was literally done. So I really sense a total different environment right now. This early morning's broadcast is totally different than anyone you've seen in over several months. Because I really just think, one, they have gotten Joe Mance to say what he likes and what he doesn't like. And what he doesn't like, they took out. And I really just sort of, I think that alleviated the back pressure. I think we're bringing down that CTC a lot. And I've seen your tweets. You've been doing a great job in the tweets saying, stop spending so much money on the CTC, spend money on other items. I think this has gotten through, the 3 million phone calls from this channel. Clearly they got the message, spend certain money. I think Kristen Sinema is sort of the last residue of someone who sort of just wants to keep things quiet. That's not going to last much longer. They're not going to keep it going one more day with a person not saying things because they all made a promise apparently somewhere along this week to just say what you don't like. And if you say what you don't like, you're not going to be demonized for saying what you don't like. Rather, that's going to be an ability for people to say, take it out, you take your thing out, I'll take my thing out, I don't like, and we're going to get it done. And I think that's where it's going. Student loan debt, wow. This should be a message for the Democrats. It was 2 weeks ago where I said, do the obvious thing. Shorten the durations of the programs, take out the controversial climate provisions, and then we have the recon done. This should be the same way you do the student loan debt. The president has proposed to forgive more student loan debt, and the Democrats aren't taking it. They should take it. Here's some of the messaging, here's some of the facts, and here's a little bit of commentary. So the president has forgiven 3 rounds of debt in the last few weeks, but he's proposed that he'll forgive $10,000. Democrats have not taken it, saying they're going to hold out for $50,000. I just think this is just sort of why things don't work in Congress. Take the 10, make it written in a way that says you can go back to negotiate for more for the president, but take the 10. The president has offered $10,000 of everyone's student loan debt to be forgiven. This would be an executive order, wouldn't be in the recon. And the Democrats are trying to hold out for a number that the president has said for over a year he's not going to do. You've had a year to try to convince him, and it hasn't worked. So it's just sort of like you try to convince Joe Manchin on climate. He says, I'm not doing it. President's not going to do $50,000 student loan debt. Take the 10, and then everyone's debts would be forgiven $10,000 during this holiday season. It's absolutely incredible. So what are the other 3 debts that the president has forgiven already? They are, first, people who became disabled after graduation, your debts have been forgiven. Number 2, people who went into the nonprofit sector after graduation for 10 years, your debts have been forgiven. And number 3, people who went into public sector for 10 years after graduation, your debts have been forgiven. City, county, state, federal government, this is you. You work for the public library, you work for the schools, you are a sanitation driver. Yes, I had one viewer on Morning's Countdown who was in the live chat, found this out while watching. He is a 20-year veteran of the federal prisons. Went right into that job after graduation. He said, do you mean my debts are forgiven, sir? I said, yes, they are. Found it out live in the show. One viewer had a great question on the 1 o'clock afternoon show yesterday. He said, how do I get the debts forgiven? Because I qualify based upon your recording. It's between you and your lender, so you need to reach out to your lender. They should know the law. They should have already forgiven the debt or sent you a message. If they don't, you may have to call the Department of Education to oversee it. You want to go to the whitehouse.org that may have the actual order in there. And then if anyone else has started to do this process, share your information with others or send me the message on private message. I'll share with a lot of people because a lot of people are asking this question. And I think that the president should just take the Democrats should just take the $10,000 offer. COLA, this is great. Your benefits are going to go up not once, twice, but 3 times if they get fifth stimulus done right after this fourth stimulus. First, your COLA benefits are going up. Your COLA numbers come in 5 to 6%, and that means your benefits are going up 5 to 6% next year. This is huge. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, remember, one thing they haven't made clear in earlier days of this week is that once your benefits go up, they never go down. So your benefits are going to go up next year, but that's not just for next year. The current check you're looking at in your hand that you're getting every month, you're never going to see again because you're going to go up and you're never going to step down. But that's just a start because fifth stimulus has 2 other raises on top of that. First, they're going to raise your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, one big time under fifth stimulus. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark is inflation. Where's inflation going to go? And when are they going to apply it? They're going to replace COLA with inflation December of next year, around this time. And when they apply it, inflation is going to be, 1, 2, 3%. It ain't going to be 0. COLA could be 0 next year. That means you're going to get a third step up. So let's recap. First, you're going to get the step up under COLA. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. That will happen right after fifth stimulus becomes law. And then they'll apply the new benchmark next year. Yeah, 3 lifts in 1 year. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can have a 60s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. The asset cap is going to go away, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. It's going to go away. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to end, and love is going to win, and you'll be able to do your longtime love interest dance and get married. And viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married. Meantime, let's look forward to what's happening over this weekend. This weekend, this channel turns a year and a half old. And in the first year and a half, this channel has amassed 140 million views, but also learned a lot about ourselves, and you've learned a lot as well. Each video this week, I'm detailing another thing that is different from the video before that we've learned over the last year and a half that helps us guide us as we go forward in a new year. What is the new message for today? The new message for today is that optimism is not being idiotic. I know it sounds ridiculous, but being optimistic is not being idiotic. Being informed and optimistic is absolutely good. Being pessimistic and uninformed is horrible. One of the worst things we've learned over the last year is that anyone who is pessimistic and uninformed is perhaps one of the most dangerous people to be around. A person who doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know the situation, doesn't know what's at issue, and is also negative on top of that. Can you imagine? So we have a recon currently, and we have a recon that has, for example, the community college, maybe in, maybe out. A person walks up to you on the street and says, "Oh, there's no community college in there. It never was in there." Yeah, it has been. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And because of that, I'm going to go pay for community college myself. Just a bad move because it was based upon ignorance. It was based upon pessimism, and pessimism and ignorance go hand in hand often. And a lot of people are, when they're not informed about a situation and try not to get informed about a situation, they become very pessimistic. When you're informed about a situation, you can gauge things better. Gauging things or assessing the situation or evaluating the situation is only achieved when you're an informed person. You have an understanding of everything that's at issue. You have an understanding of the players. You have an understanding of what's in, what's out, what's being modified, what's being moved. And so you can look at the situation. And being optimistic is not saying, hey, I live with rose-colored glasses. It just says, I understand the situation. I think it looks good at the moment. When someone doesn't want to understand the situation and just wants to bring the opposite, that is a person you don't want to be around because that is a person who doesn't want to take the time to learn the situation. It's much the same way as you approach life and making money. If you don't want to learn why the stock is doing well, you don't want to learn why the crypto is doing well, you don't want to learn why that is an area to invest in real estate or not an area to invest in real estate, you may look at it and say, and then simply just have no reaction to it. What we've learned over the last year is that when you're informed about the situation, you can make informed decisions, and you can do really well from those informed decisions. And when you look at an EID alone, you don't necessarily predict you're going to get $175,000 approved by SBA. But if you know you applied the right way, you listened to the video and learned how to apply for that SBA EID loan correctly, then you're more optimistic about the situation. You watch the video and you hear, I now qualify for student loan debt forgiveness because I have been a public servant employee for over 20 years. You now are optimistic because you know you qualify. You're not pessimistic because you don't know what it is. You're optimistic because now you know you need to go out and find out where you get that debt forgiven because you're qualified for it. And that's one of the many things that we've learned over the last year. Now, let's go over what's coming up later today. Coming up at 7 a.m. is Morning's Countdown. I'll be going over third stimulus a lot in the Morning's Countdown at the very end because this video is running a little bit long. What I need you to understand is that between now and Friday, which may be Sunday, because sometimes the legislators work on the weekend, there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of movement. They're going to be pushing to add things in, pushing to take things out, reducing items, adding things out. You want to advocate? This is the time to advocate. You want something in there? This is the time to call up and say, I need this thing in there. Tell your story. Your individual story is very important. Remember, when they got something done, if they get it done by Friday, that's not the finish line. That's not the finish line. It's, in fact, not even a bill. It's just an agreement. Then they got about a couple days, maybe about 7 days, to write it up into bill format. That's not the finish line either. When they call for a vote on the House floor, they could still modify it. Then when it goes over to the Senate, they could still modify it. A lot of twists along the way, but it's important for you to understand what you qualify all day long. So join me next on Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on the channel. Then we go into Mornings LA live on air at 7 a.m. All the latest details overnight. We'll have the latest details of what unfolded with those negotiations that continue throughout the evening. And then I'm back with you throughout the day at 11 a.m. with noontime. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, because the toast is toasted, the butter is buttering, and the coffee's brewing. And thank you for joining me on Early Mornings LA.